Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Fisher and this is my Rural Health Grant Opportunities assignment for Nurse 955 with Dr. Manry. Just want to go over my DNP project topic. While I don't have it set down exactly, I'd like to do something with increasing community education regarding sexually transmitted infection testing and treatment resources within Wichita, Kansas. In this assignment, I will describe 3 different organizations more in depth. That's the Wichita Community Foundation, the Kansas Health Foundation, and the Sunderland Foundation. Starting with the Wichita Community Foundation. This foundation is specifically people that work in Wichita to create positive change. They exist to partner with them to further opportunities within our city. Their mission is to create lasting legacies by partnering with people, families, and organizations to devote resources to causes that matter. You can see there are 4 different values that the foundation has. Geographic locale, as I mentioned before, it's in the city of Wichita, Kansas. Something kind of unique is all the board of directors for this foundation have lived and worked in the city of Wichita for multiple years. Subject area. From their website, I was able to see that in the fiscal year 20, this foundation gave nearly $5 million in the following categories. Just to name a few: education, health, disability, working poor, social services. You can see the rest there. Funding level. This foundation funds many different organizations at varying levels. It just depends on which grants they're awarded. For example, the Wichita Wagoneers Fund gave $936 to the Wichita Area Sexual Assault Center. This fund has a maximum of $1,000 for that grant. Average grants are about $500. And then the George R. Tiller MD Memorial Fund for the Advancement of Women's Health gave the Wichita Family Crisis Center $10,000. That was the maximum amount for that grant. In looking through the Wichita Community Foundation, I did find that the George R. Tiller Memorial Fund was the grant that would most likely be able to help fund my DNP project or fit into my DNP project the closest. That's Dr. Tiller there on the right. He might look familiar. He's kind of a famous figure from Wichita. Unfortunately, probably not for the right reasons. He was assassinated in May of 2009 while he was at a church service in Wichita. He worked in a women's health care center. It was one of only 3 abortion clinics nationwide that provided late-term abortions of pregnancy. So kind of controversial issue, but Dr. Tiller did a lot of great work in the field of women's health. And with his memorial fund, they want to fund medical testing expenses, as you can see, sex education programs, programs or events that promote women's reproductive health. So that fits kind of along with what I'm hoping to do with my project. So with the Wichita Community Foundation, all the grants are awarded based on the discretion of the advisors and the board of directors. They had no specific exclusion for individuals, but I could partner with Wichita State University to make a stronger case for funding for my DNP project. As for a timeline, all the grants are awarded at the discretion of those advisors, like we talked about. I picked the Tiller Memorial Fund specifically. The information that was listed was for the past year, so the applications were due June of 2021. Nonprofits were notified of the awarded grants in August of 2021, and the checks were mailed out that same month. So it's safe to assume that next year the timeline would look pretty similar. Next, I want to talk about the Kansas Health Foundation. Their mission statement is to envision a culture in which every Kansan can make healthy choices where they live, work, and play. To realize this vision and fulfill the mission, they will invest in 4 key program areas, which are listed below. Kind of an interesting tidbit that I found about the Kansas Health Foundation was it actually started with the selling of Wesley Medical Center. That's the current facility that I'm employed by. Wesley started out as a non-profit organization and was sold to HCA to become a for-profit organization, And the sales profits went to two organizations focused on improving health in the state. One was the United Methodist Health Ministry Fund. Wesley was previously a Methodist facility. And the other was a Wesley Medical Endowment Foundation, which is now known as Kansas Health Foundation. So kind of interesting the way it started. Geographic location, with a $200 million endowment from the sale. They focus on health for all Kansans, and the foundation was set out to make a difference across the state. So obviously a statewide foundation. Subject area, Kansas Health Foundation invests in 4 key program areas like we talked about. So those are access to care, healthy behaviors, civic and community engagement, and educational attainment. The chart on the right is a payout for grants and grant-related activities over the past 10 years. I thought it was kind of interesting to include that from their website because you can see just the large increase in 2020 related to COVID-19 response and recovery efforts. Definitely recommend if you get a chance to look at the Kansas Health Foundation website because there's a lot of cool data on there just on various topics. At the funding level, kind of similar to the Wichita Community Fund, it funds many different organizations at varying levels. Depends on what type of awards are awarded. So for example, I've got 2 there. One was for $50,000 for Community Keepers Grant, and then the other was for $127,500 for COVID-19 increased capacity for the Kansas Food Bank. So that's pretty cool. This organization provides funding many different areas to achieve their mission. They do have a list of grant exclusions. Obviously, the most impeding for us is going to be the grants to individuals. So they won't write for individual projects. So that would disqualify them for my DNP project. Timeline, all the grants are posted on their website under their grant opportunities heading. At the time of the completion of this project, there's no posted available grant opportunities through the website. But just information on the last one was a Community Keepers Grant closed on September 13th, and it awarded Village Initiative, which is a community program, $50,000 for their efforts in racial inequality. So that's pretty cool. The third and final foundation I'd like to discuss is the Sunderland Foundation. So grants from this foundation are used to help build places where families in distress come to find help and healing, where young minds grow and thrive, and where communities come together for celebration and inspiration. So it's their mission statement there. Focuses on projects in the following areas below. So planning, design, construction, renovation, repairs, and restoration. Kind of different than the previous foundations. You see Ash Grove Cements there to the right. Why that's significant. The Sunderland Foundation's mission is to improve quality of life through reinvesting in select communities where the Ash Grove Cement Company historically operated. So that's the company previously. The family has now taken that cement company and formed it into a foundation that can help give grant opportunities out to various communities. So for geographic location, this is my most widespread foundation. It's focused on supporting construction projects in historic markets of the Ash Grove Cement Company. So these are the regions that it lists. Eastern Kansas, which you'll come to see, their definition of Eastern doesn't exactly line up with what mine is, but just kind of shows that they're flexible with where they will accept grant applications from. And then some other states in the region, as you can see below. Subject area, so focuses on projects in the following areas. So higher education, human services, arts and culture, and healthcare and hospitals. Funding level, so funds many different organizations at various amounts, just kind of depends on what type of project's being funded. For example, healthcare grants range from $25,000 to $25 million, just depends. The Guadalupe Clinic in Wichita got a $17,050 grant to replace their HVAC units. I wouldn't even consider Wichita as eastern Kansas, more central Kansas, but as the rest of western Kansas know, Jetmore is most certainly not eastern Kansas. But they were able to give the Hodgman County Health Department almost $80,000 for a new health department building. So they're pretty flexible on their funding level and the areas at which they will accept applications. So all grants are awarded at the discretion of the advisors. The foundation does not award grants for the following. So operating expenses, as you can see, special events, banquets, primary and secondary schools, and scholarships or assistance provided directly to individuals. So in order to qualify for this grant, you probably have to partner with another organization just to kind of further solidify your chance of getting a grant. Timeline. As stated before, the advisors kind of dictate everything with the grants, but grant applications are accepted online and there's no apparent deadlines with those applications. So you can put it in at any point, take as long as it needs to be filled out and be submitted, because there are no specific set grants that they give out. It's just all for different projects. However, with that, you do have to attach multiple files along with it, including project budget, schedule, some IRS forms there, some detailed plans. So you can see it's a lot more in-depth of a process. So kind of a blessing and a curse that you don't have a deadline, but you have to have a lot more information along with your application. These are a list of my references that I used, and I hope you enjoyed my project. Thanks.